Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Angel Rebo. He's an entrepreneur, advisor, public speaker internationally, and the founder of Wisdom for Kids is going to be interviewing Shelly Lefkoe. Shelly has a great curriculum. She has been working with people to eliminate patterns of behavior that don't work for them, like perfectionism, procrastination, emotional eating, worrying too much, among other things. She is the co-founder of the Lefkoe Institute, and today she's going to be talking to us about parenting. She also specializes in empowering parents so they empower their kids. Before starting, we want to remind you that we are a nonprofit organization and our mission is just to share information to help raise the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us just by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down below, or sharing this video also with someone that you think can benefit from its content. That is a great way to help us reach as much people in the world as possible. Also, while we are live streaming, you have the active chat. It's a great tool for you to interact. You can write your questions there. Just please remember the format, the word question, the actual question that you have, and at the end of the conference, Shelly will be kind and answer that for you. Without further delay, I am going to be leaving you with Angel and Shelly. Angel, Shelly.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mirna. And we're extremely thrilled tonight to have Shirley with us. How are you, Shirley?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks.
Very well. Very well. Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to, besides welcoming you, I would like to say that tonight I don't have the best lighting that I typically have. I'm not on my typical side for, broadcasting and interviewing wonderful people, but still, we wanted to do it, and we wanted to do it because what the beliefs Queen is going to teach us and share with us is amazing. So let me start with a very simple question, Shelley, which is, what's the role of beliefs in the education that we are giving to our kids today?
Everything. Truly everything. For 30 years, I have been listening to people say, I'm stuck. And here's where I'm stuck. And I've tried everything and nothing works. And underlying basically every unwanted behavior and emotional pattern that you have are your beliefs. And it's very logical. It's not woo-woo. It's not, well, trust me on this. If you have a belief that dogs are dangerous and a dog comes into the room, you're going to back up and you're going to feel fear. If you have a belief, mistakes and failures are bad, and your boss tells you if you don't make more mistakes, you're going to get fired, you can't do it because that belief will stop you. We have beliefs about people, life, ourselves, work. We have beliefs about everything. Some of them work for us, and a lot of them don't. So that's actually how I got on the road to parenting. Because in the early years of my career, I would listen to people say, I procrastinate, I don't speak up for myself, I get into relationships and stay in them that I shouldn't. I'm afraid to branch out. I have fears, I worry, I have stress, anxiety. And underlying all of those were these beliefs formed in childhood. So one day I said, well, wait a minute. If all of these beliefs are formed in childhood, maybe I should start teaching parents or educating parents how to raise kids that don't have these beliefs. And that's how that side little business got started.
Well, little business is a very conservative way to call it, exactly. So what would you say that we as parents, what would you say are those, maybe 2 or 3 top beliefs that limit so much, the future beliefs of our kids, what would be those, according to your experience?
There's 5.
Okay.
The first one is, and then I'll tell you how they get formed. So the most common beliefs I work on with people that stops them, that underlies fear of public speaking, procrastination, and most patterns are, I'm not good enough. And, you know, as I say these beliefs, if you want to say them out loud, you'll see that most of them don't feel good. And the first way you know you have a belief is it doesn't feel good when you say it, because the truth is it's just words. If you didn't believe it, it wouldn't feel anything. So I'm not good enough. I'm not important. Mistakes and failures are bad. If I make a mistake or fail, I'll be rejected. And what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me. And that last belief is what really ran my life and stopped me from being my authentic self, from saying what I think, saying what I feel, dressing how I want to dress, being who I want to be, standing up in front of 550 people last week, doing 4 different talks, and being totally authentic, New York accent and all. And to raise children who feel whole and complete. Another belief, one other one is, what makes me good enough are my achievements. So most of us think we're human doings as opposed to human beings. And I always say, if you can acknowledge your children for being rather than doing, you would be giving them a tremendous gift, because who you are inspires people.
How can we help then? I mean, that last one for me is so important. It's like, you know, obviously everybody has different, let's say, different ages that they have to take care of or try to parent adequately. I have 3, 17, 9, and 8. They have different needs, all of them. But this thing of always receiving the approval of their peers in their classrooms is so big. And I find that so limiting to be able to, to be obliged to all the time be seeking for that approval. So number one, let's start by parents, right? So how can we make sure that we start at home to help them, not expecting the approval of everybody, regardless of what the others in the classroom say?
Great. My favorite question in the whole world. So I have 2 things to do. The first one is, you tell your kids, and this is really gold, it's platinum. No matter what you do, somebody's not going to like it. So you may as well do what you want. Before you do anything, stop and ask yourself, what might the consequences of my actions be? And do I want to live with those consequences? And I trained my children so that when the designated driver, when my daughter got into the car and found out that the designated driver actually had a drink, she didn't say to herself, what will people think if I get out of the car? She said, what might the consequences be if I stay in the car? When you have a teenager, when your child grows into be a teenager, and somebody says, let's cut class, let's have unprotected sex, let's do drugs, let's steal something, you do not want your child asking, what will people think if I don't? You want them asking, what will people think? What will the consequences be if I do this thing? It's a very, very, very powerful question. So that's number one. I'm just going to close this light here. Number two.
Thank you. I love this.
Number two is still bad. Okay. Okay. Number two is one of the most profound moments of my parenting was when my husband said to my daughter, "You are not here on this earth to live up to our expectations, moms and minds, okay? You are here to do your life, and we are here to guide you and keep you safe until you can do that on your own." This is a belief that parents have and a myth. Your children are not here to live up to your expectations. You are their guardian angel, and your job is to empower them. So, you know, I have a parenting course that's 8 modules. You can actually get it streaming now. You don't have to even get the CDs. But I can't give you 8 hours of information, but I will give you as much as possible to help you understand how to interact with your children without having them feel that pressure. I had a client one day who said, my father's been dead for 40 years and I'm still trying to live up to his expectations. As opposed to giving your children the opportunity to be their authentic self, to be internally motivated, to do things because they're passionate about it, or because it's the right thing to do, or because it feels good to help somebody, or it feels good to do well, not because they constantly need this pat on the head. I was working with a business client today, and he said to me, these millennials need constant approval. We have shout outs. He said, and the shout out is always, oh, you did a good job. You did your job today. You know, and external validation leads to pleasing junkies. And it doesn't lead to satisfaction because you can't get enough pats on the head. You get one and then it's what about the next one? What about the next one? What about the next one?
And what do we do? Because you've seen the same kids, but what do we do?
Say that again?
Yeah, what do we do in an environment in which there are literally 20 or 30 kids in the same classroom, and they have already developed these mechanisms of, you know, approval, and those are the popular ones, and those are maybe the ones that don't care, blah, blah, whatever the mix in the classroom is. How can we reinforce that they have to go with what they feel is right, and not expecting not even our approval, but the approval of the rest of the popular boys and girls in the classroom?
Well, the first thing is you have to get rid of your belief that what makes you good enough is having other people think well of you. I want you to all think about this for a second. How many of you have ever been to a game, a soccer game, a basketball game, hockey game, where the father or the mother is screaming at a 7-year-old child because they didn't score a goal, or because they were not, paying attention in the outfield? And I sit there and I go, what meaning are you giving that? Why would you care if your child gets a ball in I have a client, a million clients, but one recently, he said he dreaded the end of the game because he would get in the car and his father would tell him the whole way home what he could have done better. And here's what the problem is. You believe what makes you good enough is having other people think well of you, and what makes you good enough are your achievements. And now your child becomes your achievement, and you care about what they think of you. because it doesn't mean anything. Do you know that there is no correlation between how successful children are in school and how successful they are in life? And yet, 4 A's and a B, what's this B? And so if you really want your children to stop worrying about peer pressure and what other people think, you have to stop worrying about what other people think. I had an alternative child, my older daughter, and she dyed her hair pink before people were doing that. And when I got rid of that belief, I was able to allow Blake to go through her journey of discovering who she was and maybe not fitting in and maybe experiencing what that's like. And that's the other thing. We try to save our kids. We don't want our kids to have any pain and suffering. And pain and suffering is what grows them. It's what makes them resilient. They have to learn how to deal with the things that life throws at them. So let them fail, let them make mistakes, let them express themselves. Now, that doesn't mean you let your child go to school with a skirt up to their you know what, because that's not safe and it's not appropriate. So again, that's the guardian angel. I have to protect you and keep you safe. It doesn't work for you to walk out into the world like that. But that's different than I don't like what you're wearing, or you don't match, because people are going to think I'm not a good mother, or drive your kids out of their minds because your house is not neat and God forbid somebody walks in and sees that. As opposed to, I played with my kid all afternoon and this is what my house looks like.
Exactly.
My answer is, you have to get rid of your own beliefs and start modeling for your children being authentic and autonomous and independent.
Excellent. So, it's like, probably, obviously you have like gone through the picture, the moving picture of your life so many times. And obviously when we're teaching something, we are again, reliving all those, circumstances and things that happen in your life. So, okay. So how do we make sure that the choices that they make are not always aligned with our limiting beliefs?
Well, I think the most important, so I'm talking to a wide range of people. And as you said, people have different age children. So from 0 to 8, when your child or forever, when your child walks away from you, ask yourself the question, what did they likely conclude out of this interaction I just had with them? Did they walk away saying, I'm a loser? Or did they walk away saying, I made a mistake and I learned something fabulous? Did they walk away saying, I can't do anything right? Or did they walk away saying, boy, I just learned how to do something I didn't know how to do before? When you criticize your children, they're going to conclude, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I don't have what it takes, period. So be mindful of what you say, how you say it, and what they concluded. So that's number one. Number two, if you have older kids who you're now sitting here listening to me going, oh my God, what have I done? My kids have beliefs. The important thing, and this would be a whole nother conversation. The important thing is I'll say it. We think we see our beliefs in the world. See, I told you they don't like me. Now you see them walk by and not say hello to you, but you can't see they don't like me, because anything you could see has a color, shape, and location. When I say to my 70-something-year-old clients, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm not good enough? They say, well, I did see it. And I say, really, what color was it? And we go through an entire process. But the end of it is, you saw your mother or your father criticize you when you were little, but you never saw, I'm not good enough. And the reason I share that out of context, because when you do it in a session, it's wildly powerful, is because the way that you get your children to get rid of the beliefs that they've already formed is for them to get that they never, so if you think they have the belief, I'm not capable, do things where they could see or think they're seeing that they're capable. Let them carry a precious something across the room and say, wow, you sure have learned how to not break things, or you're so careful when you do things. Catch them doing something well and say, wow, you did that all by yourself? Wow, you really, and let them say, I'm really capable. So you can say, you did that all by yourself? You remembered to put your bike in the garage today and it rained. Good, wow, you were really thinking. So illuminate, have them see the opposite of what you think they believe. And at some point, if they see enough evidence, they will drop that belief.
Do you think that, does your life experience tell you that it's more or less difficult to change like a young kid's beliefs or an adult's beliefs?
For me, it's easy to change anybody's beliefs if they sit in front of me. For people to do it themselves or parents, it's way easier. First of all, this is what I thought you were going to ask me. It's way easier to have them not conclude beliefs to begin with. So for those of you with little kids, heed my words. I want to put myself out of business someday. For those of you with little kids, yes, it's easier to do it with little kids because they don't have years and years of evidence. So the older they get, the more tricky it is. But you can also, I'll give you a little tool. This is a fun tool to play with. We call it nipping negative beliefs in the bud. So your child comes home and says, everybody hates me. And you say, really? How do you know that? And they say, well, I wasn't invited to Claudia's birthday party. And you say, well, it could mean that everybody hates you. What else could it mean? And come up with a few alternative interpretations. And you can help your kids. Well, it could mean that Claudia's parents only let her have a certain amount of kids at the party. And it could mean that she was only inviting her best friends, but it doesn't mean everybody doesn't like you. And it could mean that you didn't invite her to your birthday party, so she didn't invite you to hers, or she thinks you don't like her. But the fact that Claudia didn't invite you to her birthday party doesn't mean any of those things. So you play what we call possibilities. And when they see that there are other possibilities, theirs isn't the truth. I stink at math. I once did this with my goddaughter. She took a math test and her teacher wrote on the board all the kids' names that failed. So she was we were in the kitchen and she just kind of said, yeah, I stink at math. And I did that. I said, where did you see that? And she tells me, and we brainstormed other possibilities. And I said, did you ever see that you stink at math? And she said, no. All I saw was I failed the test and he put my name up on the board. Oh, she became an honors math student. She's in my husband's book. So that's a good way to keep beliefs from being formed outside the house.
Where are those limiting beliefs stored? Do we, as we grow, we store them in a particular place in our brain, or?
here's the thing. When people always say to me, oh, but these beliefs are ingrained. And I say, if I open you up, is there any place inside your body I'm going to see these beliefs? They are literally thoughts. And let me give you a great example. Many of you, when you were kids, put milk and cookies out on Christmas Eve for Santa Claus. Now, it never occurred to you the ridiculousness of a fat man in a red suit coming down your chimney with presents and flying off onto a mythical creature into the sky. Until that dreaded day when you got, wait a minute, there's a Santa Claus on every corner, and that's my father in that. There's no Santa Claus. I made that up. Tooth Fairy, same thing. Easter Bunny, gone. You can believe something for 8 years, and the moment you get, I never saw that, I made it up, the belief goes away and never comes back. And you, as I said in my speech the other day, you don't need a 12-step program to stop putting out milk and cookies. Once the belief goes away, the behavior follows easily, naturally. If you had a belief, my wife is faithful to me, and I've been married 30 years and I would stake my life on it, and you walked in and saw her kissing a guy in a car, that belief that your wife is faithful to you, what would happen to it?
Would collapse.
Gone. So all beliefs are thoughts in your head that you believe because you think you saw it. If I said to you, I'm not a redhead, you'd say, yes, you are. And I'd say, no, I'm really not. And you'd say, Shelly, I believe you're a redhead, right? Because you see it. But if I went like this and took my wig off and I was blonde, you'd go, oh my God. It's so profound and simple.
How did you reach this point? What made you be who you are today, Shelly?
My mother. I had an amazing mother. I was very lucky. My husband was someone who everything should have worked out for and didn't. And everything looked like it was about to happen and then didn't. And so he was on a plane. He was a management consultant, and he had done a lot of personal growth work, everything under the sun. And he was a genius. And he's on a plane going, what must I, and he was actually going to close, to pitch a business assignment where the state of California was giving this company $1 million to study self-esteem. And he really wanted to get the assignment. And he said, what do I believe? And he started journaling, you know, kind of like Neil Donald Walsh almost. And he was just journaling, what? And he just journaled this process. And he said that he believed that what made him him was overcoming obstacles. Like that was what made Morty value. You know, oh, you know, Morty, he never gives up. So if you have the belief, what makes me me is overcoming obstacles, you're going to create obstacles to overcome. And when he journaled, he kind of wrote out this what's come to be the belief process. And over the years, he refined it and created other processes and for emotions and grew the body of work. But that's how and he got off the plane and did the process on the people who were interviewing him. And they were supposed to see 3 other people, and they hired him on the spot. And that was the beginning of our journey We used to do this in corporations, and then we started doing it with individuals. And now I have clients in every country around the world. And I will tell you something, which is why I started a parenting business. I had a client in Uganda. And when I said to her, what do your children want when you come home at the end of the day? She said what every client in every country around the world says: affection, attention, and acknowledgement. And if you say, what is the one word question that every child asks all day long? The answer to every person is why. Why am I getting criticized? Well, I guess I'm not good enough. Why is mommy and daddy looking at their iPhone when they talk to me? Well, I guess I'm not important. Why am I not getting kisses and hugs? Well, I guess I'm not lovable. So this is in every country around the world. Everybody has the same beliefs, and they all come from the same place.
Absolutely.
So when I saw him do this the first time, I remember I sat there crying, and I said, oh my God, that's why I'm on this planet, to do this. And I went, and it was mine. It was just mine. It was like, it was one of the most unbelievably profound moments of my life, because I'm clear this is what I'm here to do. And I'm clear this ends suffering like nothing on this planet. And we created a program that has 19 of the most common self-esteem beliefs for people who can't do private sessions or don't want to do private sessions. And we've made it streaming. We made it inexpensive. We just want everybody to have it, because we want people to get rid of their beliefs, because when they do, they'll be better parents and they'll be freer. That's how I got here.
And what made you become the beliefs queen, Shelly?
Knowing that that's what frees people. I mean, no matter what no matter what problems people have, I work with incest survivors and rape victims, and they have terrible beliefs. I'm damaged goods, and I'm worthless, and I'm powerless, and men are evil, and and in 1 or 2 sessions, they just get rid of those beliefs. And something that happened to them 20, 30 years ago or 10 years ago, or I just worked with a college student a year and a half ago, no longer defines them. They don't have to live their life defined by something, Angel, that happened one night or 10 nights. Or I had a client who was incested for 10 years. It just happened. And when you get rid of the beliefs, see, I would contend what happened, this is very provocative. What happens to you does not determine the outcome of your life. What determines the outcome of your life is what you conclude about what happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you walk away from a terrible, terrible, experience, and you say, wow, that really sucked, and that's all you said, it's done, it's over. Now, what's next? But we don't. And that's the thing about children. If you walk around saying, oh God, I can't pay the bills, and money is tight, and this is terrible, your kids are going to conclude money is scarce and hard to get. Well, life is hard. They're watching you, and they're looking at, oh, my parents fight all the time. I guess relationships don't work. I mean, why would somebody stay in an abusive relationship? Makes absolutely no sense. because of beliefs.
Mm-hmm. What are your plans? What's next in your life, Shelly?
Oh, goodness. Well, I don't know. I want to train more people. That's really what I would like to have is, an institute where we can just be devoted to training people. I want to see prisoners be able to do this. My biggest thing I'd like to do is speak about parenting all over the world, and make parents conscious. See, with the belief work, you have to do the work. With parenting, I could tell you, do this, don't do this. Now, yes, you still have to do your belief work, but, just be aware of what your kids are concluding. It's the most important job you've ever been given. I've said this so many times, it's like my soapbox, but we need a license to drive a truck or to cut down trees, but anybody can have a child. And if I said to you, Angel, your job is to be responsible for the emotional, physical, spiritual, intellectual development of a human being, would you say to me, piece of cake?
No. Definitely not.
So the idea that we don't need training is insane. And there are lots of parenting gurus out there. And I will heed my warning. Before you listen to anybody tell you how to raise your child, like Dr. Dobson, who tells you to spank so that they feel it through the diaper, ask yourself the question, what would my child conclude if I hit them? That violence is the way to handle things? Do you ever see a parent go like this? Don't hit. You're hitting a child saying, don't hit. But the child's going to conclude, I'm bad. Hitting is the way to get what you want. If you do something bad, you deserve to be punished. Nothing good comes from hitting, ever, 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 ever. You can see I feel strongly about that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Just be careful who you listen to. If somebody tells you, push your child, to excel, encourage them, inspire them. Yes. Push them. Doesn't work. And that's the other thing I want to kind of just mention. Parents think good, bad, right, wrong. If you get rid of those 4 words and never use them again, you'll be a more effective parent. Because I don't know what you mean by good or right or wrong or bad, but I do know when you tell me it doesn't work to hit people because hitting hurts. And if you hit people, they're not going to want to be around you. If you don't take care of my things, bring back the car with gas, I'm not going to give you the car because when I get in the car, I want gas in the car. Those are totally different statements. What works and doesn't work. It doesn't work to not do your homework because you're going to fall behind. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It just doesn't work. And then they can gauge when they go out on their own. Does this work, what I'm doing, or does it not work?
Absolutely. Where before we go to the questions from our audience here in Mindalia TV, what would you say? What is the easiest way to find you online, Shelly?
Okay, so you can either go to you can go to lefkoeinstitute.com, and that's all about the belief work, or you can go to empoweringthenextgeneration.com, and that's really the parenting work. But you can find almost anything at Lefkoe Institute. And it's L-E-F as in Frank, K-O-E, lefkoeinstitute.com.
Excellent. Okay, so let's go to the first question, which is adolescence too late to start empowering our kids?
It is never too late to start empowering your kids, ever. So an adolescent is tricky business because they're not a kid anymore and they're not a teenager anymore. So one of the things that I think is very helpful in being able to empower a child is to validate feelings. So if your kid says, I hate you, and you say, don't you dare say that, all you're going to do is create resistance. I hate you, even if they don't say it. But if you say, wow, you must be really angry at me right now to feel like you hate me. Or if they say, I wish you weren't my mother. I got it. You wish I wasn't your mother. Just get it. And I'll tell you a quick story. Brittany once said, I hate you. And I said, you must be angry. And she said, to feel like you hate me. But I got you really hate me. She goes, I don't hate you. I'm mad at you. And I said, oh, you're really mad at me. I got it, sweetie. You're really mad. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at what you did. And every time I validated a feeling, it went away. It went away. It went away. I hate what you made for dinner. I got it. You hate what I made for dinner. Then you could say, eat it, don't eat it, cook your own dinner. But first, validate feelings. And again, with adolescents, you're old enough to have a conversation where you could say, I realized I've been working a lot. And I'm not around a lot. And I hope you don't think that's because you're not important. I didn't realize that you needed more attention. And from now on, I'm going to make sure, blah, blah, blah. So look at how I've been criticizing you a lot. And I realized, and that's not a good thing. And, just keep saying the truth for you. You so many things you do well, and I keep finding the ones that you don't. It's not you.
Excellent. Let's go to the next question. My daughter pays too much attention to her physical appearance. What can I do about it?
Great question. Great question. So again, model, that's not your worth and value. But you can say to her, it's okay to want to appear in a way that makes you feel good. But your worth and value is a function. And here's what this is a good thing to say to your kid. Who's somebody? Tell me somebody that you really love or admire. And they'll usually say somebody that's funny, that's warm, that's friendly. They talk about being, right? So you say, you see, you don't love her because she's skinny or because she's pretty. You love her or like her because she's a nice person or she's kind or she's fun to be with. And just get them in touch with what they value and admire about people. And it's rarely ever their appearance. Nobody ever said to me, ever, I love her because she's beautiful, or I love her because she's thin. And have that conversation. It's a really important one. Your friends are going to want to be around you because you listen, because you care, because you're interested, not because of how you look.
Excellent. Next one. Can you give an advice to parents in regards to our kids' sexual orientation?
I don't understand the question. Can I get more?
I guess that's the only thing I have written here. So can you give an advice to parents in regards to our kids' sexual orientation about how to handle the sexual orientation subject matter at home with them?
At home with them. I mean, if your kid is gay, they're gay. I mean, that's like, and I would say acceptance is definitely the way to go, and love them unconditionally. But in terms of handling their sexual orientation, the more self-esteem they have, the better they're going to be. And if you tell them that who they're attracted to does not determine their worth, their value, their good enoughness, any of it, that different, we have different hair color, different eye colors, different skin colors. We have different sexual orientations. We have different religions. We're different. And to teach your children to accept people's differences, and people will accept theirs, to be confident.
Absolutely. Next one. My son barely eats nutritious food. I am tired of trying different ways to make him eat. Please help.
Honey, that's the tough one. I have a 4-year-old grandson who would live on bananas. My daughter needs a banana tree. And it's carbohydrate. It's not the best fruit in the world to eat all day long. So the only thing, eating is a tough one. But again, don't have things in the house that you don't want them to eat. I raised my kids. We don't have soda in the house ever. Neither of my kids drink soda. I was very health conscious. And if you want to start having conversations, today there are things like Bulletproof, or there's somebody named Mark Hyman, who is a functional medicine doctor, and he's the head of functional medicine of Cleveland Clinic. And I spoke at his conference, and he had all speakers talking about health. And food is medicine. Food goes into your body, and it goes into your mitochondria and literally tells your organs how to function. So I would tell your children that your body is a vehicle that's going to take you through life. You wouldn't put crappy gas in your car. Why would you put crappy food in your body? So, they have to eat healthily. And that's just the way it is. Just don't have crap in the house. And you won't fight with them. They don't want to eat it.
Going through excuse me, sorry about that. I interrupted you. Thank you, exactly. I was going through a very rough emotional stage in my life during the first years of my child. I see now how insecure he is due to my own mood and bitterness. He's 11 now. How can I fix this?
Talk to him. 11, you sit down and you say to him, this is going to be a tough conversation, but mommy went through some tough stuff in life, as people do. And I've come out of it, and I've worked on myself, or whatever the truth is. And I realized that I was away because of how I was feeling. I was sad or in pain or angry and bitter. And I took a lot of it out on you. And I want you to know 2 things. One is, none of it had anything to do with you. And the second thing is, I would like to make it up to you. And I'd like to give you an opportunity to tell me how it felt when I said and did those things. And just listen. And it may be painful, but just listen and get it and get it and get it. And say, anytime you want to tell me more, I'm open and there for you. And then, again, find him, catch him doing something right. Spend time. Tell him you love him. Acceptance. Don't pick on him. Don't criticize him. And when I say don't pick on him, don't criticize him, again, I'm not saying let your kids run around crazy, but there is a way to speak to children, that will have them learn how to do things and not do things, you know, saying to a child that's not okay is different than you're an idiot.
Excellent. Thank you. Next one, toddlers and cell phones. It seems that everywhere there is a kid absorbed in a game or a video. They no longer play outside. What are your thoughts about it?
Oh, we don't have time. I have lots and lots and lots of thoughts, and none of them are good. So my daughter tries to keep my grandson off screens, but she lives in Hawaii. They have a very different lifestyle. You must limit your kid. So first of all, they have to play outside. You know, and when you have kids at your house, they play outside. I tell kids all the time, staring at a screen is not good for your brain. It is not good for your development. You don't just, you know, this texting is terrible. I know kids don't understand that when you say something mean to someone, it hurts because there's no reaction. They're just saying it on Facebook or on Instagram or in a text. It's terrible, terrible. So you have to teach your children about body language, about looking somebody in the eyes when they talk, and you have to limit their screen time. Listen, for me, it was TV. I told my kids they got 3 hours a week, and mostly they watched Saturday morning, so I slept, which was great. But I picked my battles. TV and soda were two of my no's. And, you know, they would say to me, oh, can't we watch more TV? And I'd say no. And they would play and they would just go do something creative. And neither of my kids watch TV. Now, I'm not saying it won't backfire, because sometimes when something's forbidden, that's why I gave them 3 hours. It wasn't just forbidden. You could play on your computer or your iPhone, just not for hours and hours.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Next one, is the school system doing a good job with our kids' beliefs?
My least favorite question. No, is the answer. School, unfortunately, most educational environments are a hotbed for mistakes and failures are bad. And if I make a mistake or fail, I'll be rejected. They're not changing with the times. We don't live in an industrial world anymore, which was what school was designed to teach us how to live in. And in an information age, if your kids are not innovative, they're not going to be wildly successful. And you can't be successful without failing. It's impossible. So I think our schools are doing our children a huge disservice on many levels. I think that children conclude things about themselves because they're not auditory learners in an environment where you're with 20, 30 kids and the teacher's lecturing. I'm not an auditory learner. I'm very smart. I did not love school. I loved the social life, but I was not learning in my learning style. I sent my kids to an alternative school where they learned math with giant dice and Cuisenaire rods. And there was no such thing as mistakes and failures. There were only outcomes. And if you did something you weren't supposed to do, they sat down and they had a process where they talked to you. I just, you know, I was blessed because I was able to send my kids to private school. And I'm very cognizant of the fact that most of us can't do that. So as parents, you have to undo by saying, you know, in that environment, mistakes and failures, you know, are not valued, but in the world they are. And get them books. You know, there's a series of books about famous people. I can't remember the name of it, but Helen Keller and, you know,
I know what you're
these
talking about. Yeah, I remember the series.
And, you know, read books about these people, you know, Jonas Salk, you know, who created polio, failed 10,000 times. And, you can't cure cancer without failing. You have to tell your kids something different than they're learning in school. And that's hard because you're putting them there 6 hours a day.
Exactly.
I wish I had better on that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Next one. What is the limiting belief that can lead someone to an eating disorder?
Oh, a lot. So first of all, it depends on the eating disorder. So there's anorexia, there's bulimia, and there's emotional eating. Believe it or not, emotional eating is the most complex of all of them. There are beliefs, there are self-esteem beliefs. There are beliefs about bulimia is very much about control, getting rid of feelings. If a child is being controlled, the way to have control is to throw up, or the only thing I have control over is my own body. Anorexia is about wanting to be invisible and disappear. It's very common. There's a lot of beliefs that underlie eating disorders. If you make a big thing about weight, or and it's not just your kid looks at magazines and sees this perfect body that they have to have. And if they believe what makes me good enough is being thin, or, any beautiful, anything like that, they're more likely to have an eating disorder. So do not comment on your kids' weight. Just talk about health, eating healthfully. But that's lots of beliefs.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next one. At what age should a child be able to choose a religion in the cases of a multicultural family?
Mm-hmm. You guys are asking me the tough questions. I hope you don't get mad at my answers, but if you do, it's my feeling. So I think a child should be able to choose their religion at any age. And you have to be very careful with religion. Religion can be a wonderful thing, but it can also create a lot of beliefs. You have to be careful about what your children are hearing in the house of worship that you go to. You're born a sinner and you die a sinner, and God's going to punish you, and all that kind of stuff can wreak havoc on children. Taking things out of context, like if you put yourself first, you're selfish, and things like that can come from religion. So I think religion is a very, very personal thing. And to say to any human being, you have to believe what I believe, is what causes all the pain and suffering in the world. I have one of the people I respect the most in the world, used to call herself, she doesn't do it anymore for these reasons, but she used to say, I'm an evangelical Christian. She said, but if my daughter I don't believe in abortion, but if my daughter wants to have one, I will love her and Jesus will love her. And I don't believe in sex before marriage, but if she does, I'll take her for birth control. So here's what I believe. This is my beliefs. But this child is a human being, and they don't have to believe what I believe. And it's just, religion is like anything else. They are their own individual autonomous person. And if you force them, they're more likely to resist it than accept it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you. Next one, which is actually the last one. How can I have my mother, who is 76 years old, stop criticizing me and my siblings? She is still hurting us after so long.
Say the last part, last sentence.
Yeah, she's still hurting us after so long.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a secret, a very big secret. This is like the best secret you'll ever know. So first of all, give it up. She's not changing. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. Nobody can hurt you. It is the meaning that you give what she says that hurts you. meaning is always made up, right? So somebody cuts you off. Oh, he's a jerk. That's meaning. Maybe he's going to the hospital. Maybe he's a bad driver. So when your mom criticizes you, you give it the meaning, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for her. She doesn't love me. And just come up with one other meaning. It could mean she puts other people down to feel better about herself. And it could mean that she loves me and she thinks that pointing these things out is going to help me. But the fact that she said it has no inherent meaning. I don't know anything for sure about you because your mother criticized you, you know? And if you can do that, and if you go to my website, there's information that you could find out about the freedom process, where you learn how to actually not give meaning to things, and it frees you so that nobody could ever. My father and my brother used to say things to me, and they would, and I would get angry and scream and yell and cry, and yes, I got rid of the beliefs that had that, but I also stopped giving meaning to what they do. And the minute I did that, they can say anything they want. It has no meaning. It's just what they say. Doesn't mean they don't love me. It doesn't mean they don't care about me. And it doesn't mean I'm not good enough. And you take back all your power.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, Shelly, before we go, definitely would like you to remind us again of where can, Mindalia TV's audience find you. Where can we know more about what you have been doing, what you do, and what you're going to do in the future? So where are those places? Which are those places?
So lefkoeinstitute.com is where you can get a lot of information. But I'm going to give you another website. If you want to eliminate a belief for free as a gift, go to Recreate, RECREATE, recreateyourlife.com. And you can, that's just to eliminate a belief. If you want information about me, Lefkoe Institute, LEFKOE, F is in Frank. But recreateyourlife.com, you can eliminate a belief for free and see how that is for you. And that'll give you a sense of parenting.
Well, I have to say that, even before you moved to your couch, it was such an amazing conversation. We could have been with you forever, literally. Absolutely. It's been really an amazing conversation. We felt extremely close to you, and we've loved every single, answer you've given us and our audience. So it's been a blessing, really. Please, we are the ones who are really, really grateful. And so again, thank you for being with us today.
And I'm grateful for all the people who listened. I know you're not supposed to give 3 websites, but empoweringthenextgeneration.com. That's the parenting stuff. But I really thank you. I want to thank you, Angel, for doing this work and for making people like me available to people, because I think it's so important that we grow and we learn. So I really thank you for what you're doing. It's a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is your house moving forward. This is your home. You will always be welcome with us, as we were discussing before this interview with Shelly. We have obviously Mindalia Television is originally from Spain. She's not there yet, so we would love to have her also on our Spanish channel. So I think this is going to happen. So I really think that this is going to happen. And Mirna thinks the same way and feels the same way. So it's been a real blessing to have you with us tonight.
Gracias. Buenas noches.
Exactly. Buenas noches. And again, thank you. Thank you very much. This is Angel Rebo with Mindalia TV. Thank you for being with us tonight, and see you soon. Bye-bye.